Real quick PSA, you have a Kobra X, you don't have any problems, please print one of these jigs. This jig will hold on to your print head while you work on it. And even though your Kobra X is healthy right now, it's not always gonna be. Jams happen, clogs happen, hot ends need replacing, fans need replacing. Just common things that wear and tear and break down over periods of time and use. So do yourself a favor and print yourself a jig before anything goes wrong. If you wait until it's too late and you don't have other printers to print it on, you'll wish you had this. All right, rant over. Let me show you the declogging methods you can use before you attempt this. So what you'd have to do is heat it up. Let me see in my handy dandy drawer here. Right there. So this is the cleaning nozzle that comes with your printer. So I would heat up the hot end and push this up the nozzle tip and it would go through just fine. And it manually extrudes it. Okay, well, neither of those methods worked for me, so now I'm going to show you what to do if that happens to you. Do you have a printer buddy, a guardian, a good luck token, something like that? Go ahead and remove it. Mine is held on with a little bit of Velcro. So that's off. Then you're going to want to remove your PTFE tubes. Okay, as I was doing this, I realized a different scenario. So I'm taking the PTFE tube out and I can see that I've got the filament is cut and retracted. If you can't pull the filament out here and it's stuck in there, a couple things you could do is push in this little cutting arm all the way so that it cuts the filament and then pull it out. If it still can't pull out, then you can just go ahead and snip it off and leave it in there and disassemble the head to get it out. Okay, I turned my machine around so we could see the back side of it, and it would really help if you had a magnetic tray like this to catch screws or hold screws, and a set of tools like this. The first thing you want to do is take off the 4 screws that hold the print head onto the printer. You can see these 2 down here, this one and that one right in there. There's another one right here above the gantry and another one right here. So you want to take all 4 of those out, put them in your little magnetic tray so they don't roll away. I like to work with a little magnet attached to my tool so that it helps the screw stay attached to the tool. Sometimes it bites me though, like when the magnet is the same depth as the machine and the magnet likes to jump off my tool. That's not helpful, but for the most part it comes in pretty clutch. Okay, now the print head can be removed and you can take the power cord off. All you have to do is pop something in here to pry that off. This little tab right here on the side, you're going to want to pinch it and pull, and then you can just remove the power cord from the machine. So now you're free to take this to your workbench or wherever you plan on working on it. These screws are a 2.5 hex, and these screws I believe are a 2.0. Okay, in order to get the housing to remove from the print head, you do need to remove this 4-port hub. All right, so we got this part removed. Okay, before I start working on this, I'm gonna put this together. I printed it with some crummy old peach filament. No offense to anyone whose favorite color is peach, or flesh, but like, why? Why would flesh be your favorite color? Kind of weird. Favorite color? I'll say I'm not judgy, but sometimes I be judgy. Okay, everything fit together incredibly well. That was too easy. All right, here's our jig. We have it all set up, ready to go. And let's start taking some things apart. Also, always have your favorite shop beverage. All right, I'm gonna start with these screws on the bottom here to take the bottom fan off, the part cooling fan. All right, so when you get that done, go ahead and slide it backwards. You can put your thumbs right here and give it a little slide. That's how it locks in and on. And then pull it up carefully. You'll see that there is wires right here, right there. So you'll want to be careful of those wires and not damage them. Inside this little compartment, and don't forget this, because when you go to put this all back together, you're going to want to make sure that it goes back together exactly how you pulled it apart. So inside this little spot here, let me see if I can find something better to point with than my finger. Right here, this little cubby hole, this is where the connector pins are, or connector cable, or connector wire, whatever the proper terminology is tucked away. And when you put this all back together, make sure you tuck that back in there. We'll get to that again later. And this doesn't really have any special tabs or anything to hold down or while you're pulling. So I try to just keep pressure on both sides of the connectors so that I'm not just pulling on wires and then pin one down and pull on the other one, and it comes apart without any damage. Okay, and you can just stuff that back in there because we're gonna need to pull this all out in a minute anyway. You'll need to bend the cutting arm. You'll need to bend the cutting arm through the housing shield like this. And then you can just slide the whole printer head right out of the casing. And you can place it in the jig. If you look at the jig here, it's got these little cutout tabs right here. That's where it's gonna grip onto your print head. So go ahead and just slide it right in there. All right, so we're gonna break this down, and you may find your clog along the way, and then you can put everything back together. I'm just gonna show what it looks like to break everything down. So if you had filament stuck in the extruder, like you weren't able to remove it and you had to cut it off, you'll need to expose the extruder to get to it. So you're going to remove these 4 screws. This one right here, this one right here, this one right here, and then this one right here. These two are kind of reluctant to leave, which is fine. You can just leave them in there. All right, once you have this part of it exposed, you're going to remove this screw, this screw, this screw, this screw, this screw, and this screw. Yeah, 6 screws. Doesn't matter which ones you start with. Just start taking them out. And all the screws that I'm removing right now are exactly the same. So I just put an Allen key on here to separate these screws from these screws, because these ones are the ones that hold the print head on the machine when we're all done and everything is put back together. So I'm just going to take all of these out and pile them up. Now with the file for this jig, there was also an organizer tray where you could put your screws while you're removing them to keep them organized. I didn't print it out because, I don't know, it just wasn't my style. All right, so now this little number thing is able to pop off. And it looks like there's a little slit right here that we can just put it in. And this is also a sensor. If you push this way to your left, it will come out. Don't force it, but that's how it comes out. This little sensor right here senses the extruder wheel turns. So this part here is held on very delicately with some very little soldering. And these commonly break. So please be very careful with it when you're removing it and when you're reinstalling it, because that's a common thing to break when you're putting things back together. I really like this jig because it has these nice little slits that will keep everything nice and organized for me and out of my way, right? I'm like, I'm busy here, get out of my way. I want to get this done. I want to get, you know, back to printing. So yeah, I like it. Good job. All right, did I get them all? Yes, that one's gone, that one's gone, that one's gone. Okay, time to take a look at the extruder. So if you have filament jammed in the extruder, look at that. That holds on to that too really well. I don't know if it's supposed to go like that or if it's supposed to go like this. That kind of feels more out of my way, so I'm gonna go with it. But here's your extruder wheel. As this baby turns, it turns those, or it moves them out of the way so that filament can come down and be extruded. If your filament is jammed in here, you should be able to move things around and pluck it out. Maybe grab a pair of tweezers and try to pluck it out. If you can't get it out just by pulling it out and clearing it out manually, you may have to remove these arms to get them out of your way. So when you're reinstalling it after you've cleared your clog or your stuck filament, your jammed filament, after you do that, make sure when you're putting them back on that the spring goes up and over this little ledge right here that it's currently on. And if it's hard for you to remember, you can go back to the video and pause it. You can go to the Anycubic wiki, or you could take a picture of it with your cell phone and then look at it later when you're reassembling. So that's the extruder. So if your jam was there and you pulled it out and you reassembled, you're all done. But like in my scenario, my jam is down here. So I have to keep going. I'm going to now remove the screws back here that hold the hot end in place. Oh, of course, I got stuck on my camera foot. Hold on. Now, these two screws that hold the hot end in are different from all of the other screws. So you want to try to keep track of them. And and just keep them separated from the other screws. Those are the 2 screws that go to my hot end. These are everything else, and these hold the print head on the machine. All right, so now that I've got my hot end free to move around, if I needed to remove my fan or replace my fan or whatever, there's your fan right there, and it's plugged into the back side right here. So if you ever need to replace the fan, maybe it shorted out because you got a giant blob of death, and you were clearing it, and maybe you shorted the fan wire or clipped the fan wire or something, that's how you would take that off. So that can go right there for right now. All right, so now I'm gonna get in here to get to my jam. Okay, I see it right here. And it's not this Allen key, it's the tiniest one. So it's gonna be this guy right here, which is a 1.5. You take this and you put it in here, this little hole, and in there is a threaded piece that generates tension against this little 4-port throat. You don't have to remove it, you just have to loosen it. So I can already see it before I even pull up on this, but there it is. I have a jam right here in this 4-port throat, and now that I've loosened it, I can take it. Oh my, okay. So I have a jam here, and I also can see a jam here. I don't know if that's probably supposed to, no, it's not supposed to be in there. Let me get that out of there. So this is like a little cup-shaped type thing, and it looks like it's got some TPU stuck in there. Yeah, so here's my culprit. This is the catalyst of my jam. It started the whole thing. I'm gonna go ahead and put this little cup back down in there and then tamp it down to make sure that it's seated correctly. Okay, yeah, we don't have to go to town. I just don't want it sticking up. And then test but yeah, this is just a regular piece of PLA. Somehow got stuck in there on top of the TPU. So, okay, my jam is now clear, and I can put this all back together. Exactly how you took it apart, that's how you're going to put it together. If you need a tutorial on how to put it back together, watch my next video. It'll be a tutorial on reassembling your hot end. If you want to see more content like this from me, make sure you subscribe, like, and follow. Thank you.